Have you got this thing on a highway and just seen what it can do?
Not that I want to divulge.
We're here at Khalil's shop. Check out another cool truck. Khalil's got a buddy named Kyle Kraft. And Kyle Kraft has a really special F100. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it on social media and just around. Race Desert did a feature on it. Again, I'm super grateful to be able to go look at these things, and I'm grateful for you to have a connection with Kyle so we can have it in the shop.
I appreciate you.
And check this thing out. So I'm going to depart from Khalil and go into the shop and look at this thing. Kyle Kraft.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Let's talk about just the basics of this thing.
So this is my 1978 F250 Ranger.
Some people would call that a F100, right?
Yeah.
Do you know the difference with that?
Frame, I believe, and then the extended cab.
Yeah.
We just call it an F100 because most people don't really know the difference, you know. So to get the period correctness when talking about it, F100 is kind of what you relate to.
Yeah, and I think this thing is badged correctly like that too.
Yep.
This thing kind of gives you that factory feeling that looks almost like a period correct color, you know, like a root beer.
Hey, what you drinking? It's the good time taste of Mark's.
And the two-tone too, the top.
Yeah, that was Dad's choice. I didn't get that vote.
Yeah.
I might have put in other areas, but Dad got that one.
Let's give a brief history on, you know, your background and your racing history and what you've done with that.
My background kind of starts with my father. He got into this 3-4 years ago with Cameron Steele and Bob Decoy, and they started racing in a 6100 truck, and then they bought, you know, a couple pre-runners, and finally Dad brought me into the mix, and I've got a 6100. I've done some navigating for a couple top teams, and now just my program with James Dean, and this is kind of what we're doing now.
What made you make this your pre-run? How come you didn't do like a, you know, like a newer Raptor or a Silverado or?
This started about 5 years ago. I built a Jeep Speed. I realized quickly that that wasn't the way to go. I found a 76 single cab F100 that I kind of wanted to build and make my own race truck, and Dad said, hey, you know, why don't we go for the extended cab? Let's make it a 3-seater, let's make a pre-runner. So I found this, traded the 76 for this, and this was the platform we built.
Just being a fabricator, I used to work at Raceco with Jamie Campbell, and next door was Chris Allen's shop. That's Allen Motorsports, and that's where this thing was constructed. So Chris has been around the off-road industry for a long time. He's got a lot of prep experience on trophy trucks and spec trucks. On top of that, he's just got a really good sense of design, and he's an excellent fabricator. I watched this thing through Chris's Instagram for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
What was the construction time on this?
It kind of sat in the beginning due to some other racing projects, but I think start to finish, it was about 2 years.
I guess we could start with the standard staples. Definitely equal length I-beam suspension on the front. All custom fabricated stuff. Did Chris do all this stuff in-house?
Those are actually Blitzkrieg
Okay.
arms that we later had to modify due to them not fitting exactly the way we wanted to. Basically everything Chris has had to touch up on and kind of put his own twist on it to make it what it is today.
And then what are you guys using for a steering system? Are you using PSS?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's Power Steering Solutions.
Yep.
And do you know what the front cycles?
I have it strapped at about 22 inches right now.
Yeah.
We could obviously get more with I-beams, but
Yeah.
it seems to be the best at about 22.
Yeah, and then you're just using, looks like a King Kong 4.0 bypass.
Yep.
3-inch coilover,
Yep.
dual rate, fan reservoirs for obvious reasons.
Yep, just had SDG suspension tuning, go through it all, put their twist on it. I've
Yep.
run them on all my race trucks, and
Yep.
they've done a brilliant job, so got the Prerunner riding real nice right now.
Did they do all the tuning on that too? They took it out to
Yep.
plaster or something?
We have not gone out for our final tuning
Okay.
date yet, but they did all the spring works calculations,
Yep.
the special stuff they do to that they won't tell me, and yeah.
Yeah, they have secret sauce.
They got secrets.
I think all shock tuners kind of have a secret sauce.
What do you put in that sauce?
Well, you start off with a little lemon juice and some ketchup.
Is the chassis painted or powder coated or steel it or?
Chassis, I believe, is steel.
And steel it's just it's a newer thing that's, I mean, you can weld on it, you can wipe it off with lacquer thinner. It's just an excellent thing for racing and prep. And the powertrain in here, I mean, I know what it is, so you can either talk about it or I can just keep going because I kind of know the specs on this thing. I've paid attention to it.
Yeah, it's a Dugan's big block. We have it quite detuned right now, running on pump gas. I think it's making about 800 horsepower
Yeah.
the way it stands, but plenty for pump gas down in Mexico.
This looks like a ID Designs front plate.
Yep.
The front plate would be like the accessory plate on the engine. A lot of these things, especially like a Prerunner like this, would need relocation for packaging. So it would need like a AC compressor, which is right here up front. So this plate, this gray machined area, that's your front plate, as you'd call it. And it also gives a mounting point for the engine too. So then you can do away with the block mounts and you can just do a front plate on the front of the engine. And then you can do a mid plate, which is in between the rear of the engine block and the front of the trans. And that kind of makes things more solid, and it's less of a fail rate for running an engine where you're just bolting 4 bolts into, you know, little threaded things on a block. That's kind of an old method. How do you like the engine? Is it a lot of engine?
It's scary. It's scary. I've driven a couple trophy trucks, obviously race spec trucks. But,
Yeah.
this is gnarly.
I mean, the finish works super nice. I just like, there's a lot of details. You know, everything's got its place, and that's kind of what you realize on big pre-runners. I don't mean big by the scale of them, but just very equipped pre-runners where they're a race duty vehicle. They're built to do thousands of miles, you know.
Purpose built, ready to get it done, down anywhere, get your notes, get ready for the race. It has to be almost the equivalent of my race truck.
Yeah, and so the finish work and the wiring and the plumbing, it's all going to be on that same level as the race truck, because you have to depend on this thing and you have to push this thing similar to you would your race truck, taking notes, and rely on it and have things built for longevity. Let's go to the rear of this guy. Again, looks like full containment in the back as far as getting a visual on the shocks. A lot of trophy trucks and big full-size chassis like this, they have the tube work going outboard of the shocks. So this will tie into the C-pillar tube going up in the cage, and you kind of get that hidden shock in there. A lot of frame rail trucks, meaning just, you know, pre-runners like Khalil's that's here, he'll have the shocks on the outside, you know, and then his back half would start. But this being a tube chassis truck, you'd want to keep the shocks inboard, and then you kind of double up on your strength and your structure. So rear end, what do you have here?
This is a TubeWorks 10-inch ring and pinion rear end. For the most part, this whole build was kind of designed around having spare parts for our trophy trucks.
Yeah.
So everything is completely interchangeable with our race cars.
So it looks like Brembo 6-piston calipers.
Yep. We've got the Brembos, we've got our tire pressure monitoring system on here. That way we know when we got flats, full race car stuff.
Yeah, and this looks like a blitzkrieg housing too.
Yes.
I mean, that's full race car prep too, so obviously there's safety wire on all kinds of special little spots, and just the level of detail, like that looks like your your diff temperature sensor right there. Now, did the wiring get done at Allen Motorsports as well?
It got done there, but that was also done by the guy who does all of our race cars, James Lynn.
Yeah.
He's also doing all the top race car drivers, the McMillans, Baldwins,
Yeah.
Menzies, all the good guys are running him.
And you're on 40-inch Bajas.
Correct.
Kind of the standard thing, right?
Yeah, just, you know, wanting everything to be completely interchangeable with race cars.
Absolutely.
We got it on the same package that we run our race car on.
So, single spare?
Single spare, you know, you're not going through too
Yeah.
many out there.
Yeah.
But one's enough to get you home.
Yeah, I mean, with pre-running, you're close enough to some kind of chase or support vehicle where you're gonna have another spare
Correct.
somewhere. And then the other thing I see is gnarly air jack.
That is a Bunderson air jack, the same exact one we use on our race car. Makes things really speedy and easy for those quick tire changes.
Yeah.
If we have to do something a little gnarlier, if we're in the sills or off angles, I gotta pull out the floor jack, which I got hidden in the toolbox. But as far as your quick ones, that is by far the easiest way to go.
Now, are you guys running just the extinguishers, or do you have a suppression system in here as well?
I've got the full Firecraft suppression system
Yeah,
inside. Safety's gotta be your #1 priority when you're
Absolutely.
out there. Especially in Mexico where you don't have, you know, the hospitals,
The resources.
the resources to really treat a bad deal, so you got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
She's a little empty right now, but we've got some of the stuff hidden up in there.
Yep, some of the
Tow
essentials.
ropes, tools, some fluids, couple belts, your main stuff.
So what are you running for AC? Let's get into the inside of this thing.
So we've got the vintage AC in here for those, you know, hot summer days. We've also got the Sparco heated seats in here for, you know, keeping your bum warm in the middle of a Baja 1000 pre-run.
Was this dash the work of Will?
I believe it was.
Okay. Will's one of my buddies. He worked at Chris's shop for a while. He's a really good aluminum guy. I've just known him through the industry. He's been around, been in different spots. This dash, you'll see, it's wrapped in leather right now, but the underpinnings of it, I'm gonna guess, are aluminum, right? And I mean, sometimes they're steel. You can just see the craft in it. Craft, get it? Craft.
Forgot it.
Haven't heard that before, huh?
Never.
So obviously there's displays for you over there in the driver's seat.
Yep.
And then, you know, what's most important in a pre-runner like this is having a large GPS for the co-dog to be putting in notes. So notes would mean dangers, rocks, inside, outside, whatever specific stuff you need to know.
Correct. I go off of a real rally style system, so I'm using, you know, right 1 through 6, and really detailed notes are vital to winning these races.
Sure.
Seconds, every corner you can make, crests, rises. I mean, I rely on this navigator so much. We have to have machines like this to get us around and get us what we need.
A lot of like the top guys that I've experienced, and you know, I used to ride with Jerry Larimore, and he was a 1400 guy when I rode with him, but he was still very adamant on notes and the same kind of rally style turn, you know, right 3 into left 2, whatever.
Right 6 over crest 30, right 4 plus.
Like that was what you had to do. So you were talking, and the navigator, the co-dog in a truck like this, well, not this truck, but your race truck,
Right.
It's the same thing. It's just constant talk, talk, because then that leaves you to do your job and just drive.
It really keeps the brain work out of me second guessing, and that's kind of a problem I have, as well as a lot of other drivers second guessing. So the pre-runners are out there getting the notes, and
Yep.
you don't have to second guess.
3-seater. Obviously that seat doesn't look too uncomfortable. Sometimes that layout, when you have that third seat in there, gets really uncomfortable, but that looks pretty spacious. So what kind of lighting is that up there?
So these are the little Baja Designs interior work lights.
Gotcha.
I've got them underneath in the hood. I've got them in the wheel wells. I've got them pretty much everywhere in this car. That way, you know, you break down at night or you need to look at a map.
Yeah, serviceability outside.
Yep.
If you hear a noise or something, you need to check something.
Yep.
And then this thing's also equipped for Parker pumpers. So I mean, I don't know if that's the brand anymore, but that's what they originally started as, and it's like calling a Band-Aid or a Kleenex.
Yep.
Parker pumpers are air systems for helmets. That takes air that could be dusty or whatever. It's taking cabin air in this case, and it's making it fresh, and it's blowing it into your helmet. So when you're closed up and you're going through the dust, or you're just going through any kind of the elements, you're just getting consistent, fresh, pumped air into your helmet, and that's an absolute must and a staple in the race truck. And it's nice that you have the capability with this. So if you want to throw helmets on,
Right. I mean, anymore, the speeds we're reaching, trying to really perfect those notes pre-running. I mean, I'm doing very, very close to what I would do in a race truck in this truck. So helmets are kind of getting to be a must. You know, you want to keep everybody safe, and so Parker pumpers, obviously a must. If you ever put a helmet on, you need fresh air in there.
as far as power and stuff, what does this top out at? Have you got this thing on a highway and just seen what it can do?
Not that I want to divulge.
Okay. All right. It's all Motec stuff in there too for electronics.
Yep.
Who did the plumbing on this thing?
Performance Plumbing did.
Okay. I think it's Performance Vehicle Plumbing, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I've seen that.
They're the best. He does, again, all the race cars out where you do.
And does he come to the shop and do that stuff?
Yeah.
So he's a mobile
he
program?
obviously had his work cut out, you know, in the front end
Absolutely.
of this with all the coolers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Most pre-runners really don't have their coolers up front with the engine.
Sure.
It's in the back.
Yeah, and you're
But-
all in line. We should retouch on that when we get there. I'm gonna go and see your pedals and stuff on that side. And I like the flush lights instead of just having a bar or something up there, or even like, you know, your classic like light box that would be protruded here. You'd have, you know, that's a lot cleaner of a look, and it just keeps that contemporary design of the truck.
That was my dad's big thing on this. Nothing could be out of place.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, OCD, and so that's the way we went.
That's what makes a good project, you
Looks
know?
beautiful.
Absolutely. So this thing's pretty much all business in here. You got, it looks like just kind of some rubber floor mats, dead pedal. I always kind of emphasize with people about running a dead pedal, and what that is it just lets you, you know, if you're on the gas or you know something's coming up where you need to kind of impact and brace your body, this lets you just put your left foot and just kind of brace yourself, you know, in your seat. And it gives you a little more control with your footwork as far as the gas and the brake, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you start kind of sliding around, bouncing in there, you don't drive quite as well, so you can kick it up against it, kind of push yourself back in the seat, and
Sure.
it lets you be a lot more comfortable and smoother on the throttle.
Yes. So it's letting you focus on what you need to be doing instead of
Right.
focusing on your body moving around. So as far as your steering wheel controls go, what's on the steering wheel?
Well, I don't know which ones do which anymore due to COVID-19 shutting me down. Buttons are everywhere.
What are the
But,
options?
But I know we've got cruise control, we've got our siren, we've got our push to talk, we've got some lights, we got blinkers on here.
And that's all via Motec programming,
Yep, all
right?
via Motec. I think there's legit like one other pre-runner in the world that's running the cruise control right now. So
Whose is that?
I think Bryce Menzies.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you're up there
He's
now. You got it. I think one of the most impressive things that I've seen, and maybe I just don't know that that's an option, but the fact that when he turned the truck on right now, he pressed a series of those buttons in there on the touchpad.
This readout tells you where you're going, this one tells you where you are, this one tells you where you were.
Which acted as a passcode alarm to get the thing going and the power on.
Secret stuff.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, that's a beautiful thing to have, especially when there's no keys usually.
Yep.
So it's like, what do? You know? Either, I mean, most people just have a battery cutoff hidden somewhere, and they're like, oh, that'll get them. They won't be able to get it because the battery cutoff is off. I got Khalil to give me this light, and I wanted to look under the truck, because sometimes the one thing that you see the trucks are lacking is what's going on under the truck. What's going on when the thing bottoms out. You know, it's going to catch debris, it's going to catch rocks. I looked on Cameron's C10 a little bit, and he has that whole thing. He's got 1/2-inch ABS plastic. I can take a really educated guess that this probably is all fully belly panned. I just want to see what we're going to get under here. Yeah, the rocker panel below the cab, that's all tied in. Looks like 1/8-inch aluminum. This thing has a full belly too on it. So that's all where your trans is. Does this have an underdrive?
Yes, it does.
And who makes the underdrive? TubeWorks?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yep, same exact underdrive as I have in my race car.
Yep.
For swapping out parts and stuff. And it's easy to make real quick gear changes too.
Sure.
This thing, instead of having to pull the pinion, you know.
Yeah.
So you can just swap out the planetary gear in 30 minutes or less, and you have a new gear set.
I remember the headers were really special, and they were 180 headers, which is a tricky thing to explain, but the headers kind of swap sides, and those are a thing of beauty just in themselves. What they do, I mean, I think they're for torque building, and I don't have enough of an education in 180 headers to really have a dialed answer on that,
They sound cool.
but they definitely present a very different sound, and especially out of an 800 horsepower. engine. So we're gonna kind of go through the systems and have this thing start up, and then we're gonna take it for a hot lap. Not a hot lap, but just a cruise, and just feel, you know, how it does on the street, and just kind of get that experience.
Let's do it.
Even the doors close amazing. So what I asked is, I said, if you stomp on it, will it light the tires up? And you smile like that. You do that. Kyle, thank you again.
Thank you guys.
Julio, thank you.
3 fist pump.
Oh,
Three-way?
triple.
Oh.
Whoa. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, it's just another treat to check out badass trucks, and this is a nice one. You know, it's fully finished, and it's just another beautiful build. I hope to see this thing around a lot. You probably, like I said to Kyle, I said this is probably a 25-year truck. As long as you service everything, you're gonna be having this thing along the ride for a long time.
Yep.
So hope you guys enjoyed this. Later.